Charles, would you like to begin?
Is this working? Yes. Good evening. Name is Charles Cantor, Kanter, 2905 South Greenleaf Circle, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33426. And I've come here tonight to talk about the budget. What I think I sent everybody an email so they know what I'm going to talk about. I want to see the Quantum Park somehow, some way on the budget for the future. The population there is exploding. We have 2 hotels since I first started to ask about this park. Right there. One is right on the park with a view from their windows right up the canal to where the launching ramp would be for the paddle boards. I mean, we owe it to ourselves to help improve their business model so that they can be successful, so that we can be successful. After all, there are taxes, et cetera, and involved in this. There's the view of what our city is. And we've proposed in the past a way to build that whole place into a park along the lines, an eco park or semi-eco park along the lines of either Watacahoochee or Glen Cay, something like that. We've got enough acreage to do something similar. We've already started on the largest part of it and built another lake and all that sort of thing. And we would like you guys to figure out some way to ensure or assure the community that this project is somehow, some way going to be continued. Now, there are an awful lot of us that are already willing and able to form some other body, if the city so desires, in order to continue this. But tonight, I'm going to plead with you to somehow get a mention of that park on the budget, that it exists as a park, for a park. I mean, after all, it is a park. The city owns it. We don't have to buy anything or anything like that. It is ours. It's got almost 1,000 feet of frontage on the canal that goes from Palm Beach to Lake Ida. I mean, it's an enormously valuable piece of park property, and it's right there in the middle of all this development. I don't know how many of you have gone up to Renaissance lately to see all those 6-story buildings being built in the back. There will be people in them pretty soon. On Lot 17 on the corner of Gateway and Quantum, that development is now open for business. They are renting that. That's just a short, you can see the park from there, right down Quantum Boulevard. High Ridge Estates, a beautiful development they put up there. They're diagonally across the park from there. This is not fair to all of us, to all of them, and to the city as a whole, that all of the energy, all of the effort, all of the money is being spent over here east of 95 or in the CRA district, and not even a mention of us on the, on a budget for the future. So I'm pleading with you. Well, we're ready, willing, and able to go to work. I just want something to come out of this budget this year that says next year we will do this, or next year we will, spend $200 or $500 to cite this out, to give us No, don't forget. By the way, for the commissioners that don't have all the backup material, I have all of that stuff, the original plans we did the time Lori was there at the meeting we had at the United Way, where the professional engineers put forward a plan. So this money has already been spent on that park. It isn't as though you're starting from scratch. So please, that's all I'm asking, is to give us on West 95, give us guys in the hugely developing section of the city without a lot of problems, give us a break. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. So I think what we would want to know is the next step is what what in our budget would that be starting? Charles said that there is a plan in process, a layout of it at least.
I think, was it Charles, was it the POA or the QPOD that did the master plan?
It was O'Mahony did the
Yeah, they
did the
hired a
master
consultant to
plan.
do a master
And
plan.
if you guys
We
are
didn't.
short on that stuff, I'll go home right now and put another copy of their report in the mail. It's got all of the all of the results of it. It's a big thick report, but it's on PDF, and I know a lot of people haven't seen it. I keep trying to keep up with it. But it's 2 or 3 years ago now that we had that. So there was. I'm saying there's already been considerable amount of money spent on that. It isn't as though you're starting from just a piece of brush.
So, Commissioner, is this,
Anything else?
we have the problem with one of the QPOD is the lawsuits that are currently going, and but
Okay.
what I would like to say is that we understand, we hear you. This is. I'm so glad you're coming here to talk about this. This is exactly what we want to see. Things that you want to see changed in Boynton Beach. Like you said, we have the master plan. You have the master plan. I don't know if it's currently in our future plan, long-range plan for Parks and Rec.
Well, it is. It is.
So it is,
See,
but we
yeah,
don't
not-
have
not-
we
not-
don't have a year for it, correct?
Yeah. Not only is it in the plans for the long-range plans for Park and Rec, it's been voted on. It's been talked about several times in Park and Rec, but it also is a point on the Blue Way and the Greenway that we have, and there's already been money, sort of allocated for a paddleboard launch ramp up there on the corner just below Minor Road, where the canal crosses Minor Road. That's the edge of the park property. And yes, the Blue Way, of course, is the waterway trails. The Greenway is the bike and walking trails. And according to the maps I have, the Greenway goes right around Quantum Boulevard, which is right at the end, the southern entrance to the park.
And so, well, thank you for letting us know. We're going to make sure that we're going to keep this when we're making our budget decisions.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, guys.
Hello, Alexandra Wilson. Do I got to say my address? Yeah.
Yes, please.
1202 Northwest 5th Street. I have a couple of things that I like to input. Can we put some continuous sidewalks on Northwest 6th Street between Seacrest, stretching back to 5th, Northwest 5th, I think that's Avenue. I know it's the street that stretches all the way to
Streets are north, south, avenues are east, west.
It's northwest.
Okay.
It's the street that it's on 6th, Northwest 6th.
No, I'm saying that all the avenues in Boynton Beach go east, west.
Okay, so it should be Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So northwest 6th Avenue.
Yeah, that's the street that I would like the sidewalk to be on, starting from Seacrest,
Yep.
stretching back to 5th Avenue. Street.
Yep. That's it.
It's the route that the kids take to Galaxy Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to have a more safer route for them to walk to school, because I see them walking every morning, and it's not safe for them to walk in the street. So I will ask that the board can.
Alexander, excuse me, let me just put an input there. First of all, when we did sidewalks over in that section, we met with the principals over at Galaxy. And Galaxy, they are supposed to be telling the children themselves, this is a route that you need to take home. But we will look at what you're saying, but we have visited this before, but we told the principals to make sure that they tell them this is a route you would take home and the route you would use to come to school.
Well,
now we need to re-educate. We have a new principal. Probably she did not get, don't know what we're doing, but she needs to be out there telling the kids, use the ones that have the sidewalks. I'm just saying, I see them passing my home every morning in the road, and I'll be like saying, whoa, here we go.
Yeah, and then the kids I pass by, it's about, I guess, 10, 15 of those, and I see them every morning. So that's not safe for me, and I don't want to hit those kids. So,
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure the citizens of the city don't want to hit those kids as well. So if that can be implemented for them, that'd be great.
Get into it.
Yep. And I see that there's a sidewalk on northwest 4th Avenue.
It is.
And so that's
like
so
that
it's
continuous.
also the education to let the kids know, because if they're just going from Seacrest to Northwest Fifth Street, maybe we inform them to go down 2 more blocks before heading west.
Okay. Like we can work out the
Yeah.
route when we get down, get further down. Also, I'm not sure of the old graveyard name, but it's actually on Northwest Fifth Street.
Barton Cemetery?
Bam. There, I would like to
It's
ask.
not Barton, it's Boynton Memorial Cemetery. We want to be
I
politically correct, but it
apologize.
is Barton. But we
Barton
turned it into a
Memorial
park. But that
Cemetery.
is the cemetery that was used for Afro-Americans. I'm aware of that.
Yes,
Go ahead.
that's the one. That sounds like the one. I will ask that the board can get some type of a gate or fencing, so we can separate the living activity from the dead. At the moment, there's no fence nor gate. People are just walking on the graveyards, disrespecting them, riding all types of ATVs over there, and that's not a good look for me. So I would like that the board implement some type of fencing or gate in that area. Also, there's on the section of, okay, it's by the KFC area.
Alexander, stop before you go any further. Let me address
Okay.
Barton Cemetery. The reason we did not put a fence in Barton Cemetery, we wanted to be pedestrian friendly was one thing. Second of all, we had people that had been here a long time who have relatives out there. I have relatives out there. We wanted not to put a gate and fencing in so that they will have access to be able to visit their loved ones. What we need to do is go back again. This is another educational point, telling them, you know, this is something that we don't do. We'll probably put up signs, probably stay out or something like that. Or, we'll visit what you're saying, but there's another avenue without a fence. I'm just saying,
I talked to Dr. Light, who's very adamant on both that cemetery as well as a cemetery, and she told me out of her mouth that this is something that she's been asking the city for. So I'm asking the city that the city put some type of fencing or gate in that area, because if she has been here for decades and I'm not calling her age, but she has been here for a while.
Address that. Dr. Light addressed us with the issue, and she said that it was more or less like for Sarah Sims. Dr. Light has not addressed anything with the present sitting commissioner. I've been sitting out over 11 years, so I'm just saying, this is my first time hearing about what her needs and wants are, but thank you for bringing it to me. I will visit with Dr. Light and find out what they are.
Okay. Also, with the Sarah Sims cemetery, there is a lot of trash being involved in that area, so I wanted to know, can the board put some type of, set aside some money for, a cleanup team that can take care of that cemetery, because we have our residents in that area, and that's another preserved cemetery, and it looks like crap.
People, just carrying on with the theme that my fellow commissioners have set up here, these things people need to learn how to show respect to society. If people are littering in cemeteries or driving ATVs through cemeteries, that's some low stuff.
I agree.
And I definitely will, look into some of these options, but just as a teacher, I always err on the side it's cheaper and it's more long lasting to get people to stop doing bad things than to put up fences or allocate funds or anything like that. I think that at least the theme of some of the things you've identified today, which are legitimate concerns, they all go back to we need to try to get to the members of the community or the people who aren't from the community but are coming to our community, and somehow reach them and say this is unacceptable behavior. That's kind of the trend of some of these requests so far, is that people just need to start acting like decent human beings. And that would...
Well, to that comment, I wanted to say that I don't think that what the city was asking was getting properly to the people. When the city asked me to ask the individuals to stop riding the ATVs in the park, they have done that. So I don't think there's been an actual voice from City Hall directed to the people in District 2. So now that there is a voice to start to wake up, I think that we can actually start working together, and you guys will start seeing different results than what you guys were seeing in the past.
I would appreciate that.
In regards to setting aside monies, okay, the state of Florida requires that cemeteries we use what is known as perpetual care. That's money already set aside, Alexandra, for that's why when anybody's buried, that means that there's money that's for those grounds that they have to keep them up. And I'm just saying, so we just need to revisit with the city and say we want them to take better care of these cemeteries. I'm just saying money's already set aside, you know. That's the law. That's the state of Florida.
Okay. Okay, great.
Alexandra, what I'll add to that also is that over in District 3, we have Boynton Memorial Park, which is right there on Woolbright and Seacrest. And what a couple of residents decided to do was just get together, and Jeff Livergood actually provided us with cleanup supplies and different things, and allowed for the groundskeepers at the Memorial Park to also assist us in cleaning up the weeds and different things that we piled up. So get a couple volunteers together. The city will provide supplies to clean up the facility, and that can be a way to go about it too. It doesn't necessarily have to be a cost allocation to do it. If we just get the bodies, get some people together, the city will provide the resources to clean up that park. We also have the development department that actually went out a couple of weeks ago, and they do this every quarter, where they'll go out and they'll go to Sarah Sims Park and try to just clean up and pick up the litter. So there's initiative already happening. So we want to make sure, again, we kind of educate and teach people to clean up after themselves. I think that's really one of the main things that we want to do with keeping those parks clean.
Let me address it to the city manager. Are we contracting out the cemeteries now to have them, or do we have city staff taking care of the cemeteries?
I'm not certain, sir, but I'm just going to say we contract it out, because they do litter cleanup when they go in and mow, but that's maybe now with the summer, maybe once a week. But they do, that is part of their scope of work. But it's just not as frequent.
Right, it's contracted, but when we had it in-house with city, we had more visibility where they did a better job. So we need to look at the people who we're contracting with. But thank you for bringing it to our attention. So that's something that the city manager can look at.
Okay, great. So
okay, leave the
forward.
dead alone. Okay, let's go.
I want to respect them,
Yeah,
I want them to have some type of respect, because when I pass, I don't want me to just be disrespected like that, I want the people that's actually living in this city to actually feel like they care about me. Also, I want to ask the board, can we implement some type of shade trees? I'm not sure the correct name for the trees. Big trees,
Correct.
Shade trees, as well as some type of benches at Heritage Park. At the moment that this park is the community cannot properly congregate at this park. So if there's more shade trees, benches where people can actually come out and sit down, that will help out the residents of that area tremendously.
Okay, in regards to benches, we could probably look at it that way. We do need something for them to sit on, because they are sitting on the monument, and I call the police and say, go out there and tell them to get off. So I'm just saying, we need to revisit that and probably look for benches and stuff like that. But when we start making things too comfortable without educating the people that be sitting there, I'm just saying, because they have crates and everything else. Okay, we got benches here now. Please don't bring those crates over. So we want to make sure whoever's sitting there, I'm glad your voice, now that you don't mind going to talk to them, thank you.
Okay. Also, I'm not sure of the community. Maybe the mayor can help me out with this. The area where you actually live, it's like it has it has lights, but it's not a lot. At nighttime, it's really hard to see driving down. I guess that's North First Street.
Northeast First Street.
Yes, that is pitch dark. And if a kid is walking, because there's no sidewalks on that street as well, if a kid is walking on the shoulder of the road, if I can't see them, I'm going to hit them. And I know if you ride down that street at nighttime, you can actually see what I'm talking about. There's no way to identify the pedestrian and the road. So I will ask that we get some type of lighting as well as sidewalks in the area.
And so, I'm well aware of that.
That's your area, Mr. Mayor.
I normally walk on Seacrest. There's plenty of lights there, and so it's a lot of it with the education. Part of it is where you need to walk on sidewalks, and there's places in the city where there are sidewalks parallel.
But if I'm getting off a bus after night class,
It's
I
Seacrest.
can't get home. I can't safely get home. And basically, you're telling me that, oh, I have to walk on Seacrest, but I live down this first street.
Right.
How I'm going to get home from Boynton Beach to Northwest 9th Street without getting hit?
You take Seacrest.
And the bus stop is right here. The bus stop is on in front of KFC.
Yeah.
You're not.
It's similar to the bike paths without the county. There are certain roads that have bike lanes and buffered bike lanes.
So what you're telling me is that the city is not going to implement any type of sidewalks in the neighborhood, inside the neighborhoods, only on the outskirts of the neighborhoods.
Where we would want, we want to have pedestrians be safe. And so that is the reason why we have certain areas that are safe. I was trying to tell you that there's certain areas throughout the county that you can walk, you ride your bike, like on A1A, but there's no bike lanes there. And so it's a dangerous area compared to Federal, where there are bike lanes. So we are looking at this and saying, yes, we probably do need more lights in that area. I just got an email today saying that we are slowly moving away from the sodium hydroxide lights and moving into LED lights. But in order for us to do that means we'd have to put our own poles. If there is any Florida Power Light poles that do not have a light, there is a 1-800 outage that you can call.
No, I'm not. No, there's few lights. There's lighting in that area, but there's few lights. I want to think there's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 lights on that road from Boynton Beach to Northwest 9th Street, and that's about 2 blocks. You don't see that there's no danger, and I'm not even talking about Northwest 2nd, Northwest 3rd, 5th.
I'm on Northeast.
I'm not even talking about those
But,
areas.
yeah, I understand what
I'm
you're
just
saying.
there's not a lot of lighting in that area.
The only thing we can do, because we don't necessarily, I like seeing the stars, and if you have too many lights, you can't see the stars. So what I was going to say, so what I'm going to tell you is that there are certain streets that are safe to walk on, and we're going to form educations. The other thing is that people have their houses that have lights on side, and make sure that they have their lights on all night, which I do.
So I'm so glad that you mentioned that it's so important to see the stars than not to be safely walk down the street.
I'm so glad.
To interject here real quick, I think you have a valid request. It is logistically impossible to put sidewalks and a million lights on every street in the city. It would cost millions upon millions of dollars. What the mayor has indicated is that through those limited resources, every city and county in the country tries to create safe pedestrian-friendly roadways, but that's not logistically possible for all streets. He's not dismissing your request, but the reality is that we could do what you're saying, but it would destroy the entire budget, and we would have to do it for every street in the city. Otherwise, it would look unfair if we were saying this is necessary to protect children on this street, but if your children live on that street, we're not going to protect them. It's a logistical issue, and we're taking it seriously. The sales tax money that's starting to come in, will address some of those infrastructure issues. But again, nobody's here to commit to any budget expenditures because we have not seen the budget yet. So right now, we take your input and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
But Alexandra, that section that you're talking about, we was looking at development over there, so that's why we have not really focused and paid some real attention to it. But we hear what you're saying. It's just coming.
Okay.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
How y'all doing, Commission and everybody? My name is Peter Gilliam, 305 Southwest 5th Ave, Boynton Beach, Florida. It's a good thing to be able to make it to this budget input. I wanted to just mention a few things that I've just been noticing that could really help out Commission and resident, for the next couple of years if we really focus down on it. I was thinking about instead of residents that own homes or businesses have to go through probably that whole bidding process and competition with CRA or Commission, why don't we put a yearly set aside for residents that's that the community support in a sense where they don't have to compete for that kind of funding to be able to get community initiative programs going on or residential insensitive programs going on and stuff like that. That's an input I wanted to really put out there, because I really see like there's some good people in the community, residents like doctors, teachers, all these type of careers, engineers that could really, set the trend for the future of our children and how business need to be getting developed in Boynton, and putting these type of people as a figure of what they need to be built as Boynton. I think they could deserve like that kind of set aside or budget, whatever yearly thing going on with no competition like CRA or like commission does or anything like that. That would be like something I think it'll take us to the next new level. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do y'all think about that, commission?
Well, I'm not understanding what you're saying. For what? What would the money be used for? For them to build?
Just for any programs programs that just builds the community into that kind of direction that we needed to be going towards. Like, for a quick example, that shooting that happened by MLK, where there's no resolution that come out of that kind of case, because it's already figured out. This is like old stuff. It's like if we was promoting like better type of modelship, role modelship, figureship, professional, you know what I'm saying, all these type of calibers of what we want to see in the community, I believe the community would follow those type of trends if they see their local, professionals doing things and get supported by the city, instead of like Lil Wayne on TV or, like people condoning to people sitting in front of the store or stuff like that.
So you want us to increase the community support funds? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, residential only, not competition or bidding or anything like that.
All right. Well, if there's another nonprofit that's doing that, I still have some community support funds to give them money. So let me know.
So what it is?
They got to be a business entity. They can't just be a resident.
So
Yes.
we have something called community support funds, where each commissioner has about $2,000 allocated, where we can choose to give, not any competition, not any bidding, nothing like that. Simply just, we see a nonprofit or we see an organization that's doing good things, we can decide to write them $500, $1,000, $2,000, whatever. So that's already something that we do. We also
you can't shift it to residential.
No, it has to be a nonprofit organization. That's the way to account for the funds. We can't just give money to an individual. Like, how do we keep them accountable? There's nothing to say that they're gonna use those funds for that purpose.
Well, I don't want to talk about accountability. Okay, I hear your input on that. Accountability is a big problem in Boynton.
Yeah,
so
well,
I don't want to really compete on that.
We are government, and we are using taxpayer dollars to do the things that we do. So if we're simply just going to give it to any Joe Schmo on the street, then we have to have a way to...
Somebody that's a figure of the community wouldn't just be a Joe Schmo.
Excuse my term, but if we're just going to give it to anyone, there has to be a way to keep that accountability. So it can't just be that. It has to be accounted for. So your tax dollars, you expect us to spend it wisely, correct?
Oh, most definitely that.
Okay,
there can't be no dispute about that.
that's the point that I'm making then. So
yeah, I just was thinking like instead of nonprofit license and all that stuff, could it be residential? But well said. I'm not going to argue against y'all wits. It's very witty. So, but second input.
Peter, let me address that. Really, what you're doing is asking us: is there any way that we could incentivize, set aside some funds or anything that would entice a person who's a professional to move into like District 2 and said, this is a perfect example. Role
not
model
move in, like to initiate any kind of programming as
no. What we're saying is that is to get a person to move in. This is what I'm hearing you saying to me, is that get a role model to move in. Like in District 2, professional, like a teacher or something.
Of District 2.
In District 2, anywhere, but I'm just saying what you're doing is get role models to start moving into areas where we need to have them, so that they will be a role model for those individuals, the youth of that community, where they can start patterning and looking at them and saying, wow, I want to be like so-and-so when I grow up, like we used to do.
But yeah, these people could be developed and also help build businesses. This is like some of the things some people want to come back and do over here. It's just the support is needed, but I hear all this nonprofit red tape stuff, so it's all good.
All right.
Yeah, one other input I wanted to put down. There's a lot of new changes going on with the whole city and development and where it's going and stuff. It's like just like how they have for the referendum, y'all made a review board to see if the money's going to be getting spent on the right things and stuff like that. Could we have something that also keeps an eye on how the historical or culture development stays in correlation of how Boynton is right now? Because I'm seeing a lot of developments, and I was in the development and planning thing, the last one, and then I was seeing like culture, like these type of new plannings and stuff like that, and I feel like the resident has to be part of the culture and the history of where it's going. And is there a way to like put some budget or fundings behind that kind of like review board also? Like, or whatever they called it for the referendum?
I think you would go to the Historic Resource Board.
Yeah, for the development of these things that's going on. Like, are they responsible for that also? Like, is that where you go to?
So there's two types of advisory boards. The planning and development is for future developments. The historic resources is more for past developments.
Well, I'm not talking about past developments. I'm talking about like things that need to stay in correlation. Like,
So if I'm understanding your question correctly, Peter, I believe, to put it frankly, that ship has sailed in terms of the CRA consolidated plan that was approved by this board already has set a precedent for what development will look like in this city for the next decade or plus. So it's, of course, the community has input when different projects are coming on board. There are going to be charrettes for the town square and community input to say, you know, how we want things set up and where we want things to go and what are priorities. But in terms of what I think you're asking, which is to keep the historical
culture
feel, that again that's already kind of, we're past that point because the CRA Consolidated Plan has already allocated what the city will look like in terms of building heights and streets and different things like that. So again, if I'm understanding your question correctly, we're kind of past that point a little bit.
Okay, so there ain't nothing that could be done on that point. Oh, of course, we just can't say that publicly. All right, thank you. Thank you for answering my questions. Appreciate it. Yava.
Hi, my name is Cindy Falco Di Corrado. I live at 316 Northwest 1st Avenue. I have a few questions in regards to, I went to the Pical showing at the Boynton Beach Memorial. I noticed the cushions were all tattered. And I then heard that the city owns that memorial park over there, and it needs a new face. It needs to be freshened up. It needs new cushions. And I didn't know if that's in the budget for District 3. Also, I was inquiring about Seacrest. I had a friend, my neighbor actually lives in the community for 18 years, and she had shared with me that Seacrest was allotted, supposed to have monies to be cleaned up on our side, which means the south side of Seacrest. And I noticed as I go down it daily, it seems to be getting progressively worse. I see a lot of mattresses out in front of some of these apartment buildings. It's quite disgusting, and it doesn't have any ambiance whatsoever. She also had shared with me that a while back the CRA had stated that they were going to give monies for people to upgrade their properties, and some of the residents did, but the monies was never given to them. I hear the issue about the sidewalks. We have one too in our neighborhood that is quite dangerous at night because there's not enough lighting, and that's on Northwest 3rd Street and in between First Avenue and the next block over. You have to go on the other side at night and to cross over because so many cars come right into that area when they turn off of Boynton Beach Boulevard. It's a death trap. The lighting, I heard, we put lights in our house so that we can make sure that we're lit up, so thank you for piggybacking on that, Mayor. That's what we did to help bring lighting to our community. But in the District 3 also, there's no parks for adults. There's nothing for adults to walk around. There's nothing pretty to look at. We have the two parks in the downtown. One looks like a ghost town with all the brown mulch. It looks even freaky. I wouldn't take my child there if I had one. It's kind of freaky, and then also the homeless, they kind of congregate there. And across the way is for the children as well, which they call Kings something or other. There's nothing for adults to sit and walk around and enjoy the ambiance and sit in a pretty park and enjoy a nice little walk or to hear the birds chirp. Or we do have a little spot down there by Hurricane Alley, but that's not really a park. It's a sitting spot. And these are things that I have to address within our district, which is District 3, which is why I think I guess I'm talking to you, Christina, and find out what's in the budget to actually bring some of these things for our children on that side of the highway as well, which I'm going to let people know that we do have the Carol Sims, which many don't know, for the summer to bring their kids to go swimming. Many people didn't even know it exists. So I'm glad to have found that little treasure and to share that with other people so that their children can also participate and have fun in community type things that we pay our tax dollars for. So in thinking about the budget, I hope that you put in for District 3 to do something beautiful on Seacrest, to upgrade the Boynton Beach Memorial. It was quite embarrassing going there with the Pical, looking at all the art, and then I look at the pews, the chair, the cushions, and they're just all tattered and it's outdated and the style is kind of old and stuffy. So I just thought I'd bring that to the table to bring forth when you're doing your budget as well. Thank you.
So Cindy, just to address some of those concerns that you brought up, I guess we have to look into our perpetual funds, Lori, for the Boynton Beach Memorial Park regarding those cushions and fixing that up. Regarding the looks of Seacrest Boulevard, we're being a little bit more aggressive with our community standards to try to fix up, the multiple cars that are parked outside some of these homes and the upkeep of the houses and the mattresses and all these different things. So that's going to be on our community standards to really pick up the pace and start cleaning up and doing these things to help make the street look better. I'm not sure about the funds in terms of fixing up Seacrest Boulevard. I believe that was something that did not go through, right? Lori, can you kind of step in on that?
Yeah, I don't believe we have any funding in the capital budget.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that was I think it was proposed, but it just didn't, it fell through. It just didn't happen. So that's why, if you did hear that, that's what happened. It just didn't happen. And I believe you said something else. I'm trying to remember what it was.
It was the matter of parks. There's no really parks for adults.
So for the parks, regarding the parks, Kids Kingdom, which is the one that you're talking about, the one that's right across here from City Hall.
Right.
That's going to be part of the whole town square redevelopment. Right. So we're not putting anything into that at this moment, because anything that we would do would literally be destroyed and undone in the process of redoing town square. So that will take a little bit of time, but that is, of course, a priority for me as I, advocate to make sure that we keep that park and it has, we keep that family feel to whenever as we redevelop town square. Again, in terms of parks and creating them, as you can see, there are needs for parks all over the city. It's not just here, and I do hear you. We do need places to have people, give people the opportunity to walk around. So there, we've thrown around ideas like a dog park where people can walk around with their dogs, doing something here on the east side. It's proposed. It's not.
What about just for the people without dogs? I'm just saying for people in general to congregate, to kind of walk outside, say good morning, walk in a little park, get a little exercise going, a little, little rollerblading or something that you can actually do something.
And that input is definitely heard, and I believe that we can implement a portion of that as we redo the town square, because as we're going to do that, we're going to be allowing for where the amphitheater is. There's really going to be a very green area to allow for people to have a very wide open space to sit down, relax, and just enjoy the amenities. So it's not just going to be buildings and that's it. There are going to be green spaces and areas for people to really enjoy the city, the outdoors, and the community center, which is why we're putting this initiative forward of doing town square. So I hear you, and I completely agree that we do need to have somewhere where adults can go, dog or not, to walk around.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Hi, Cindy, before you go, I'm going to jump in because I know where you're talking about the mattress. Because I rode by there like 3 weeks straight and the mattress is still there.
They're still out there.
And I'm having problems, even like in District 2, because I pick up the phone and I will call. As an elected official, I was going down US 1 and somebody put out a sofa and a love seat. And I called Mr. Livergood and he said, "What are you doing up so early?" I said, "Going to get coffee, but this is what I see." If we would take it upon ourselves as elected officials, when we see something, and if city staff would take it upon themselves when they see things that need to be picked up and, said, "Let me go ahead and pick it up." I'm just saying, we are the gatekeepers of this city. I don't feel like I need to call city staff and say, there's a mattress over here. You're going in a city vehicle, you go up and down the road. I know you see it. You got to see it. Somebody need to just take the initiative and say, let me just stop and take care of this problem. Because I call all the time, and they. So
you're saying to call code enforcement when anybody sees all these things or the garbage out and things aren't being taken care of correctly.
Or call your elected official.
Or call your elected official. Okay.
That's our jobs. I'm just saying that's what we're up here for.
Works for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Good evening. Mark Carriage, 240A Main Boulevard. First and foremost, I want to thank all of you for having this. Asking for citizens' input is nice. It is the right thing to do, and I want to commend you for doing that. One of the things when you look at the budget is that 75% of it's already done for you. Public safety takes 70% of your budget. So police and fire, they're 70%. Another 5% is trash collection and public works. So, and those are all priorities. Every citizen, every taxpayer in this city wants to feel safe. Every citizen and taxpayer wants to have their trash picked up on time. So that part's done. And there are some areas that we need to put some funds towards. And I want to commend the city manager and her team and her leadership. And because we did add people to community standards, but you could add another 2 this year because there's over 250 properties right now, minimum, that are in violation of one stage or another. And Commissioner McCrae's right. When you see it, whether you're a citizen, whether you're an elected official, whoever you are, you see something that is wrong, that you know is wrong, okay? If you see broken windows and a house that's half boarded up and grass that's 2 feet on the coming up, call it in. You don't even have to give your name. They will respond to every item. Now, they may have other cases in front of it, but they will get to it. And so I would recommend that you add 2 more community standard specialist positions. In addition to that, I want to commend the staff on the excellent hire of the Economic Development Director, David Scott. This is a true professional that you have added. You have never, and the key word there is never, had anybody that credentialed, that talented, with the connections that he has to do the things that he's going to be able to do for the city. So when he comes to you with suggestions, keep in mind, he's the professional. He's the expert. Follow his lead. Give him the financial resources to incentivize, to bring more dynamic businesses into this area with good paying jobs. And he has that capability to do that. Don't tie his hands. Okay? I can't stress that enough. Don't tie his hands. So those are the areas.
Mr. Kerry George,
yes.
Excuse me, I'm going to stop you right here. I'm one that disagree with what you're saying about Mr. David Scott. I think he's overly paid. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that he has the credentials that you're saying that he has. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just saying because he didn't hold jobs long enough. And I'm just saying, you know, you want us to give him free reign to do whatever he wants to do. I cannot sit up here and just say that I will give him free reign and take and do whatever he wants us to do. No. I'm fiduciary with the citizens' money. And right now I said that we're overpaying him. I understand your feeling, but as an elected official, I have to watch your budget. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, and there has to be oversight.
Okay, thank
you. And Tim Howard and Lori, that's oversight. The 5 of you, plus Lori, plus Tim, that's the financial oversight. And believe me, Lori's going to have measurables for this man, okay? And you can guarantee that she's going to bring those back and tell you where we're at with those. That's the way she leads. She gets results. She's got a good team. Put the faith in her and her leaders so that they can do and maximize and get you the best return. Yes, you have that oversight. You have that financial fiduciary obligation to every citizen. And I'm just saying that if he can do what he should be able to do based on his expertise, this city's in for a good set of progress and in the right direction. In addition to that, I want to comment, Mayor, I want to thank you for the other day at the cemetery. It was a poor turnout, but every citizen should have been showing up. Those men and women sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice. Every time I see Tom Kaiser, I always kid him. He goes, I know, Mark, 2 words. Yep, thank you. That's all I ever say to him is thank you. Because it was guys like him and his brother, okay? And his brother was killed in a submarine situation in World War II. But it's people like that that we need to thank, both those that have served and those that are currently serving. Because if you look at history, we might be speaking Japanese or German right now, okay? So put it in perspective that I just wish more would have come out to that event, because we need to show those guys respect. And the Boy Scouts did a fabulous job. Home Depot did a great job. Everybody was doing their part to make that successful. It's just a shame that we didn't have more turnout. But I want to thank you for being there. I want to also thank Commissioner Casello for showing up as well. And I'm glad that you're allowing this input, because we need to move forward and we need to have that fiduciary oversight, but at the same time we need to focus in where there's needs, like community standards, like economic development, so that we have the revenues to pay for all these things. And last but not least, if you could just take some advice from your city manager and start to look at pension reform, it's desperately needed. I mean, the numbers are there, the numbers don't lie. You know, we need to look at that, and sooner rather than later, because in 9 years you're going to be upside down. You're going to be paying out more to retirees than you will to the people that are doing the job. That's not a good formula. Just ask Detroit, just ask Stockton, California. They know what that's like. And in Florida, the state don't bail you out. So please address that. You know, I know that it probably won't get done this year, but it does need to be addressed.
Did hire a consultant, so it is being looked into.
Exactly, and that's the first baby steps, and please listen to what they're recommending, because that is critical to the fiscal fiduciary obligation that you have to the citizens. Thank you.
All right, good evening, Mayor Grant, Commissioners. My name is Chris Montague, 222 West Ocean Avenue, Boynton Beach. I'm the Vice Chair of the Citizen Advisory Board to the library, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about tonight. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the public library is currently only open 5 days a week, and it's a little bit of an unusual schedule: Monday through Thursday, closed on Friday, open Saturday, closed on Sunday. I'm hoping that you can find space in your budget to open the library at least 6 days a week, specifically Friday, and perhaps, if possible, 7 days a week, just so you have a ballpark idea. It's something to the neighborhood, I think around $160,000 a year to open the library for an additional day. I can go on and on and on about all the great things the library does and why it's a good thing for the community, but there's a couple other reasons. So reason number one, obviously, the more that it's open, the better it can serve the community in all the different ways that it does. Also, I think it's a good idea to start to beef up the library staff in preparation for your town square project, which includes strapping City Hall to the side of it, which I can only imagine is going to increase use of the library, and so we might want to prepare for that sooner than later. It should be noted, too, that the current hours and staffing happened during the Great Recession, and it has not rebounded with the economic upswing. Also, with the challenging political times we have, and the current president, I think it's important that we protect the library as much as we can in our own city. It is a space that protects facts and truth and doesn't censor things, so it's pretty important that we take care of the library. So if you can find time to do that and space in your budget, that would be fantastic. And just to wrap it up, I hope as you approach your budget that you do as much as you can to support art and culture in the city. I think art, culture, and small business and local culture is what attracts people and businesses to an area. Not just building and development. Thank you.
Myra Parnell, 2104.
Right down.
Myra Parnell, 2104 Northeast 2nd Court, Boynton Beach. I'm just here to find out about the flooding. I'm living there for 16 years, 17 years. And when the rain falls in the morning, I can't come out to go to work. It will fall in the afternoon, I can't go home. I have to park my car all the way down. And they promised in the city that they were going to fix it, and they have money to fix it, and it never get done. Every time is the truck, every time the rain falls, they just come there and suck the water out, and that's it.
What's the street again?
2104 Northeast 2nd Court. They come to measure it up, they do this, they do that. You can't go to work, you can't come out to go to work, and you cannot come. When the rain falls in the evening, you cannot come home.
So that is next to 20th Avenue Northeast.
Block 11, I believe.
So yeah,
Lot 11.
So last commissioners meeting, we approved the funding for this.
Yes, and nothing done. Over and over the same thing.
So, well, the good news is that there's funding in it, and we have to hire the contractors to do it.
Okay.
So that's the next step, and then you have to make sure that I'm going to let Colin really talk about this. What's the next step? Is that it? Hire the contractors?
A swimming pool, is a swimming pool there?
Yep. So once we hire the contractors, we will start construction.
When?
Colin, do you have an estimate time on that?
And as he's coming to the mic, I represent you in your district. Yes, we voted upon that, and the money is there now, so we will get it done.
But I hear about that like about
No.
2 years ago.
I know that was 2 years ago, but I want to rest you assured that we voted at our last commission meeting, and we gave the approval, the money is there, and we took it out of the utility funds, and you can address it when it's going to start.
Okay.
Yeah, since this is an ongoing project, not for next year. We're not addressing next year, but an ongoing project. The contract has been awarded. The pre-construction meeting has been held. The contractor has a schedule for about between 4 and 5 weeks. You'll start seeing equipment moving on site and work starting to happen. And it's about a 6-month project.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, Executive Staff, members of the audience. Thank you for having me here tonight. Rick Maharaj, 1627 Satona Drive. I wanted to get up here and say a couple of things, but, the public that got up here before me did a phenomenal job communicating. And just a couple of things I want to reiterate. The gentleman with the blue shirt, I forgot his name, he was first. That Quantum Park pocket, it's exploding. I'd love to see something in the budget that funds some activities, some benches. There's plenty of shade trees over there, things like that. That's one. The Galaxy School, that was also on my list to bring up. She did a great job pointing that out. And lastly, I'd like to see City Hall go out to the public more, not just the public coming in here. So there should be something in the budget that I'd love to see where just something off the cuff, maybe a meet and greet the public, where not just the respective commissioner for that area. I live in District 4, and not where the commissioner comes out, but the whole city staff comes out and meet with the public. Just some food for thought.
I would suggest if one of the commissioners wanted to have town halls as well, we may coordinate that in next year's budget so that we, have each district have their own town hall every quarter or something in that sense.
I
understand what you're saying with the city staff as well to meet them. That's why we have that rotating process at our meetings, so where the city staff presents.
Good. I love it.
But Rick, I understand what you're saying. You're saying instead of having a meeting here in City Hall, that we need to hold a meeting in each one of our districts.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, so that people, this is what you're saying, get a place, hold it, just this is where our next city commission meeting will be held, and those that want to come, like a commission meeting, we're not in the chambers, we're out here. So we do our own meetings, we do them regularly ourselves, but you're trying to say that we need to take them out from here and go out in the community and hold city commission meetings.
Yes, sir. And some of this stems from just speaking with just members of the public in various districts. They can't necessarily make it here at 6:30 because it's dinner time. They got to go to their families and have dinner, and then I get it. There's a set time, a set agenda, but how do we get the public engaged? I guess it's a balancing act, right? So I'll leave that up to you guys to kind of knock your heads together and come up with something creative.
Well, not that I'm disagreeing with you, but I also know that we have resources in order to make sure that we are available and accessible to all parties. We post our video, we record our videos, we post them on YouTube and Facebook. We post them everywhere. And there's also like a live Twitter feed going on during the meeting.
I see you on there all the time.
And the other thing I would also say, because we know that this is a budget input meeting, but we also have to think of, it's kind of like doing a budget at home. You only have so much money coming in, so you can only do so much with the dollars that are being allocated. So
I get it.
What I would say, maybe to kind of feed off of what you've said is when we have different communities like do their HOA meetings, maybe that can be a way where, it doesn't have to be something that's a cost thing to the city, but we can basically have either the HOA presidents or the people who lead the HOAs invite, like maybe we could do like this a couple of weeks out in advance. That way the entire commission knows, the staff knows, and we could show up to this, Renaissance Commons' HOA meeting or something. And it could be like a meet and greet where everybody in Renaissance Commons comes and meets the commissioners, they come and meet the staff, and they can talk, we can ask questions, and we can kind of tell them what's going on and give them like a nice little quick update of city happening. So that's another way to kind of, I feel, engage with, to kind of put what you're saying into, action, to be able to engage the community and give them a way to reach out to us rather than just having to come here and do the whole 3-minute spiel. And I know that can be very nerve-wracking for people who don't like public speaking. So it's a good idea, and I think there's ways to do it without having to dig into our pockets.
Thank you for chiming in. I appreciate that, and well noted. Budgets are always fun to deal with, and I trust me, I'm not jealous. You guys, and yes, I get it. It's set. There's a lot of redundancies, but budgets are also meant to adjust every fiscal year responsibly. And I've heard some thoughts earlier. Readjust it. And make it right for the public. I mean, a lot of noise that I'm hearing. Also, a lot of people in certain districts, I'm not pointing fingers at any commissioners or Mr. Mayor, they don't even know who their commissioner is. Let's get City Hall out there and get active and get the public engaged. Just some food for thought. Any thoughts?
Agreed.
Oh?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dr. Stephanie Hayden Adiemo. My formal address is 2181 Southwest 15th Avenue, Condo N102, Boynton Beach, Florida 33426. I have actually 3 comments and or questions that I want to discuss tonight. When I was back here listening and debating whether I was going to come up, speak, etc., there are a couple things that I wanted to highlight. The first was something I think Ms. Romulus, you brought up about commissioners having a dispensary fund of $2,000, and that was to divvy it out in different increments to a nonprofit. To do what? Where's that publicized? Where?
So in order for the community support funds to be given to the nonprofit, it has to be approved by the board.
Okay, but where do you have posted that you have community funds anywhere on the website for your city for nonprofits, like a tab that states, "Hey, if you're a non-for-profit, hey, we have this, that." Do you have that, or you have to dive or deep to find that?
It's more of just, I don't know whether it's on the website or not, but any nonprofit that I've spoken with
knew about that, because I didn't know about that.
No,
what it actually is it's more.
You guys both are talking at the same time.
The fact is that you have a nonprofit, and it seems that this is the first time you're learning about this. Is that correct?
What I'm saying is, if this is something that's public, right? That's what I'm under it's public, right? I used to sit on the Educational Youth Advisory Board, right, for this city. And we have the Bob Barovia Award, and we have other awards that are posted on our website that states these are the requirements, etc. So if you have funds, that is the discretionary of the commissioner, like you said, that was collected and cannot be given to, per se, a citizen, and this is public knowledge, you should have something on your website that says, like a blurb that says, "Hey, are you a local Boynton Beach non-for-profit? Are you," etc. Because, like the gentleman that just left, you need buy-ins. And I was speaking to the gentleman here for the CRA, and he said that they have funds that you use to bring the community and to build the community. Like he said, I saw you at a meeting where you came out and you spoke to Forest Park. I mean, that doesn't cost any money, and I get it, everybody has a big time, but your commission is not transparent. I'm sorry.
Ma'am, these funds, as I understand it, was created well before I got up here.
Okay, sir, I'm not speaking to you directly. I'm saying as a group, your commission is not transparent.
I would
That's something we need to
disagree
receive.
completely to
Well,
that
guess
statement.
what? It's an opinion. It's a budget hearing, and like I said, some suggestions, like the gentleman said, you're not transparent. That's something that you all have to understand. If you notice, look at your room. You have things that are slated for the next 10 years that you've already decided on. That's already done. That's before you. And people are not even here to discuss that. For example, the historical way that, the city is built, right? You stated specifically that you can't change that because it's already slated, but I clearly saw a little house down here that was salvaged next to my, my primary care doctor that I did not have availability to because the road was taken up to reconstruct and build that little house. No one is there now. Then, not only that, you have a large construction again that I can't go to my primary care doctor again, Dr. Messiah, because it's being built again and it's closed off. Okay, so these are things that do affect people, development. I can't go to my primary doctor twice in over 3 years because I have to find other routes to get there. So when we talk about big city, little city, these are budgetary questions. You have to think about longevity. Yes, you weren't here when it was decided on, but you're now sitting here. We got to think about that. Now, I also sit on the library board. There are some county libraries that are open for 4 hours at a time. You should be able to do that because you're collecting a lot of money going forth from these developments. That library should be open. I've been going there for 20-something years. I look very young because I try to live a stress-free life. But libraries are important. And if she comes up here to talk to you about a sidewalk, you're not going to make the comment about the stars. Children die. On Seacrest, I think someone just died recently. We can't do that.
Yeah.
We can't do that. These are life and death decisions, and you are public servants, elected, not politicians. Have a great day. Dr. Hayden Adiemo.
Alexandra, I'd ask. No, I'd ask that there's people behind you who have not
haven't
spoken.
spoken yet. Let them go first.
Barbara?
Barbara, go then.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Barbara Reedy, 329 Southwest 13th Avenue. My wish list tonight includes improvements to the boat ramp, in case no one's brought that up, because we heard at the last mayor's meeting that our boat ramp is a disaster area. My second thing on my wish list is I would urge you to hire a volunteer coordinator. Many of the things that have been brought up tonight, such as the cemetery cleanup crew, the HOA's coordination, and listing things on the website could all be handled by a volunteer coordinator. I met last week with the new principal, I don't know how new she is, at Galaxy, and Galaxy, just as an example, has many unmet needs. They need volunteers to greet the children getting off the buses in the morning. They need volunteers to walk the children home after school, because apparently there's some alleyway that's full of broken glass and broken automobiles. I'm not too certain why code enforcement's not on top of that, but there are unmet needs in our community that I think a volunteer coordinator could enhance the whole fabric of our community. The third thing I would like to underline, opening the library, as Chris Montague brought up, I would vote for Sunday if we have to choose one day of the two, because Sunday is a weekend day when children are home from school, and if they have homework that they need to do, Sunday would be a day to do it. The fourth thing on my wish list is to underline what Alexandra said about putting a fence around the Barton Cemetery. The Barton, as many of you are aware, has been listed on our local register of historic places, and it's an appreciated and community embraced area, and I think a fence around it would honor it. It can't be that expensive to put a fence around it. There's some controversy about an unabandoned alleyway there that, could be addressed. And the fourth thing on my wish list is to underline what Mark Kara-George said about, let's do pension reform. Okay, thank you very much.
To clear the air on the pension reform so everyone knows, last year we budgeted the $60,000 to hire a consultant because nobody is qualified, whether opinions from the public or people who work at the city, to conduct those types of scenarios. So we have hired a consultant. Those numbers are coming back to us, and that will be brought to our attention this year. It's just that that's not something that we as a commission responsibly could just come up here and say, tomorrow we're going to change 10 things about the pension. So it's absolutely something that's going to happen in the short term. It's just it required factual information that had been computed by professionals.
Yes, I'm grateful for that. I would urge you to implement whatever the expert comes back and tells you, because we are notorious for doing studies and then not implementing them. We have an entire box full of studies that we could point to, so
I think
let's implement.
Those elected officials should have been held accountable, and I assure you that this commission will be held accountable if we don't act on these.
Thank you, Justin. I'm counting on it.
You're welcome.
But we look. Let me, Barbara. Let me address that. We was held accountable, but that wasn't funding. I'm just saying something I made like anybody. I was sitting, so those somebody like those people that elected before. I was before. I voted on some plans. I voted on a whole hell of a lot of things that wasn't implemented because they did not have the budget. I understand what you're saying. I don't want to talk about I didn't do my job. They couldn't find the funds. I understand what you said. I'm not saying it, but when the people say that we should be held accountable, I wish them well, because we do things and then the funds don't come in and we don't have the funds to do, et cetera. And I'm in favor of the library being open 6 days a week. I read all the time.
That would be nice. I think that the community would appreciate it.
Yeah.
And also the improvements on Seacrest. I understand it's a county road, and I understand that the help of you, the five of you, and your support in voicing our concerns of the Forest Park neighborhood to the county about crossing walk and a crossing light and, spruce it up a little bit. We'd appreciate y'all's support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, Urban Sines, 223 Northwest 12th Avenue. Just had a couple of questions because I know we were talking about education earlier, so I just need to be educated on a couple of things. So, as far as this budget input here, and how do we go from? So this is just you guys hearing us out, having a conversation, and then what? How does this go?
The actual budget is on July. Was it
17th through the 19th?
Yeah.
But okay, so the actual budget's when? The
17th, 18th, and 19th, I believe.
Of July?
Of July.
Okay, July 17th. Okay, thank you. Just a couple questions. Also, the $700,000. I remember that was allocated for a dog park. Was it officially?
That's not us.
CRA.
You guys are the CRA, right?
Right,
Yes.
but we're not talking about the CRA's
City budget.
It's only city budget.
The dog park wasn't part of the city budget?
Nope.
It was part of the CRA budget.
We can no. Is the other dog park about the city's budget?
The developer's funding that park.
Okay. No, we do not have any dog parks in the city budget.
Okay, but will there be a dog park developed in the city?
There's no plans for one now. There's one developed behind Renaissance Commons area, but that was by
JKM
negotiation with the developer to do so.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no city funded or city proposed.
Okay, I guess I got to ask that, sir. Because I was just trying to find out if it was removed from the line item. I know it was one of those things that was going to be removed, but I guess I'll ask that.
Okay, let me stop. Although we're dealing with the city budget, but that question that you're asking, that will come up when we deal with the CRA budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. All right. So that's what I'm saying. I want to be educated, so I appreciate that.
And in order to just finish that line of questioning, Mike, I believe our budget meeting is in June, July for the CRA.
It's the regular meeting of the CRA board on June 13th.
Okay, so June
At
13th, 6:30, that's when we'll be talking about the CRA budget.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Sure.
I wanted to ask, okay, when it comes to this budget as well, how does the public is there a way to get a copy of the budget, or how do we know, like, I guess what I'm looking for is a reference point of where we're starting. When we say budget, what are we looking at exactly?
So on the city's website, you can actually access our budgets for the past several years.
Okay.
So I would start with at least last year and look
Okay.
where we started, use that as a starting point. Last year, I believe it was 79.6, if I'm not mistaken. Something.
Dollar amount?
Yeah,
That was
million.
just the general fund, 211 million.
Okay, so
270.
211 million, and we basically, the general fund was 79.6 million, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So start with at least last year.
Okay.
And coming up to this year, we're going to be around that ballpark, and it basically just depends on what the revenues that we bring in from taxes.
Okay.
And that's how it's all
Taxes.
allocated.
Okay.
But also a copy of that budget is supposed to be over in the city library. You can go over there and say, I need to look at it, you know.
City clerk's office as well.
City clerks has one as well.
Okay. Appreciate that. Now, when it comes
And your elected official has one, but don't ask me for mine. I'm just
Okay, gotcha. Now, when it comes to the budget that you says, obviously from the tax money that's being spent in the city, like, can you recall as of like last year, what was the like tax roll, or what was the amount that the city generated? And do you guys know those type of figures, how much the city generated? And is that broken down by districts? How much each district generating taxes, or how does this go?
City. The entire city
The
as a
entire
whole.
city. Do y'all know what
It's
the
ad valorem taxes that are collected from the
ad
tax.
valorem? What's the definition of ad valorem?
Your property values of the homes in the
Okay.
in the city. That's
Okay.
what's counted up, and we, as a city, receive that from the tax collector, and that's what we're able to use to balance our budget.
Do you know what that number was as far as what was generated?
Excuse me,
Okay, go
Lori
ahead.
should be able to tell us that now because she got a copy when she went to the meeting with our county official, and she said that's an estimate, and she can give us that figure now.
Okay.
Our current budgeted ad valorem revenue we anticipate to collect this current fiscal year is at about 29-30 million.
Okay.
With the increase in values of about 7.7% for the city that's anticipated for next year, we'll pick up about 2.1 million in additional revenue.
Okay.
So somewhere right around 32, 33.
Okay, that's just really helpful. I appreciate that. I did want to ask, you were saying that, I know it's for the whole city, but do you guys have the data on what districts generate what?
No, but I don't know if HANA would be able to break down geographically where the ad valorem, by parcel. I mean, we have parcel data, but typically no.
Okay.
Is that something that could be created? Possibly. I don't know how much work that would be, but
Okay, I don't want to give
no,
you
we
more
don't.
work.
It isn't assigned by district. It's just the city.
Okay.
And you wouldn't want it to be broken down by district because these are citywide services that we're voting on, and it goes for everybody. It's just one big pot that we all draw from it. And hopefully we don't have to go by district because District 2, we don't generate that much revenue. I'm going to be honest to tell you. I'm just saying it's some of the other districts.
That's true. If those numbers came out, you'd see District 1 and District 4, their residents would come in droves saying, why is 90% of our tax dollars being spent on the other side of 95? To be perfectly honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just interesting, but I appreciate that. I wanted to ask also, okay, this question, the residential improvement plan, is that also a CRA thing? The residential improvement plan. Yes. Okay. I wanted to ask, how will the city's portion of the penny sales tax, how does that work into the budget? How does that work into this budget? How does that work?
We have a separate fund that's been established that those funds will go into and be maintained and accounted for separately by requirements of the referendum. An oversight committee has been established that the commission will each year approve a list of projects that are typically going to be basically our deferred maintenance projects out of our capital improvement plan. And then those funds will go directly to those projects that are specified.
Okay.
Mostly stuff that should have been done years ago, but because of the recession, the funds weren't available.
It's for deferred maintenance is how the public approved it.
Okay, deferred maintenance. Okay. The oversight, I guess, the oversight committee, I guess, is a trusted group of people, whatever. How does the public get a say in how the penny sales tax rolls out as far as some of these delayed maintenances and some of the things. I mean, I'm sure there's neighborhoods that you haven't been into that could use some of this stuff, but maybe you're not hearing from those people. How does that happen? I mean, the oversight committee, I'm sure you have some trusted people on there, but how does the community get more involved in that? How can we help with that?
Our budget workshops, that's when the Oversight Committee will not be making any decisions or recommendations on how the money's spent. They will just, their responsibility is just to see that it is spent properly, or the funds that, the projects that the commission votes for those funds to be used on get spent there. So that's the Oversight Committee's responsibility, is to play auditor, for the lack of a better word. The actual decision makers are the City Commission during the budget process. So again, let's go back to those July 17 through 19 budget workshops. The Commission will be spending a good part of an afternoon discussing the capital improvement plan.
Okay.
And we will go through project by project for the most part. So that's the time for the public to weigh in.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Did we educate you? Yes. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Irene Ravelis, and I reside at 331 East Atlantic Avenue. I'm here this evening on behalf of Hack Lab, which is in District 4. We're a community workshop. I'm here specifically to talk about an apprenticeship program that we're looking for funding from the city for. It's for advanced manufacturing. As many of you know who have visited our shop, we do programming for children, young adults, adults and seniors in electronics, digital fabrication, and general making with traditional tools such as woodworking and metalworking. This program that we're looking to bring into Boynton Beach would really be a feather in our cap. We've been working very hard over the last 9 months to become one of 10 sites across the U.S. that has this program. It's for advanced manufacturing. It's a 244-hour program that would be delivered at our facility. We are partnering with South Tech Academy on this program. A couple reasons for that. The eligible applicants for this program would be age 18 plus. Obviously, we've got 18-year-olds coming out of South Tech, but also they have a full-fledged adult education component to the school. So a lot of the candidates that we need to market to and enroll in the program are already resident at South Tech and come through South Tech for those connections. This program will really open up 3 doors. When someone completes this apprenticeship program, they can choose 3 directions. They may be someone that has an idea for a product that they want to develop, and they're coming to this program to learn the skills in order to be able to develop their idea into a viable product to manufacture, thus going into an entrepreneurial direction. The next level is they may be interested in taking these skills and talents that they learned from the apprenticeship and going to work for a local startup. At Hack Lab, we have 2 startups right now that are looking for people with these skills and talents to work, so we would actually be generating students from this program that could come right back and work for some of the startups that we have resident at our facility. And the third area, of course, is with our traditional business partners in the community, like Florida Power and Light, Sikorsky, Lockheed Martin. These are all the types of industries that are looking for people with the skills and talents in advanced manufacturing. For those of you who may not be completely clear about what I mean by advanced manufacturing, we have many, many hand-run machines right now, lathes, mills, that are moving to CNC technology, and that stands for computer numeric controlled. So people who currently have jobs can keep their jobs if they learn how to use the machines using computer controls versus hand controls, which they've been using them. And then, of course, people coming in new to these professions are going to be needing to learn these skills to be able to digitally operate these machines. We have so far made the cut to be one of 10 sites in the U.S. to get approval for this program. We have a commitment from CareerSource. They have up to $7,500 per applicant to contribute towards this program. The program comes out of Pittsburgh, and It was a $3.5 million workforce innovation demonstration program that was so successful that the U.S. Department of Labor wanted to continue it and expand it. So the training for everybody here at Hack Lab in order to be able to deliver the program, as well as the program curriculum, is contributed by the Department of Labor. I have a conversation with them on Friday as to additional contributions financially that they can make to launching the program. We have commitments from some employer partners, and as I mentioned, also from CareerSource. We believe that this would be one really important program to help Boynton go on the road to be the city in Palm Beach County and in South Florida that makes things, not a city that's simply driven by a service economy. So we'd very much appreciate the support from the city as another partner to make this a successful program.
Funding are you looking for?
$50,000.
And how many students would this program serve?
We can't quite give an estimate yet for the first year because there is a ramp-up period. The prior program over a 3-year continuum served graduated 238 students, the majority of which were women and minorities.
Restricted in size. So how many would you, for this 50,000, how many students would you be able potentially pass through
it would be 4 cohorts a year per calendar year with up to 18 students. So part of the how many students do we serve is directly tied to how many jobs are available that the employer partners want to fill.
About 70-something students per year is what you could allocate?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
As the city manager, is this something, that we, elected officials, is this something that we could contribute to and be in the guidelines?
I can't think of any grant program off the top of my head, Commissioner, but I just want to have some time with it to talk to staff and see if, I don't know, if there's a program that could be developed to support something like this. Obviously, your community support funds, but I know you're limited on that funding is a perfect opportunity. But right now, other than that, Mike, I'm looking at you too from CRA standpoint. I don't think we have the vehicle in place right now. But that's not to say, we can't see what possibilities are. We have Irene I'm going to be connecting with, and David's going to reach out to you. I've had many conversations with her, and the things they're doing at that Hack Lab are just incredible in terms of maker movement, trying to bring some entrepreneurship to the city, and would love to see us be able to help.
I might suggest that this program falls kind of equally under a workforce development and an economic development program. So, for example, with the small one-person entrepreneur we have resident in our lab right now, they've grown their company, acquired another company, so we would actually be able to graduate people from this program that would help that Boynton Beach company grow and develop. So I don't know. It falls under a few different umbrellas.
Is this something that we can do with the CDBG?
Possibly. I would, Irene, I'd like to sit down and spend some more time with you on this one, and give us some time to do a little research on it.
Great.
See if there's something we can do.
Thank you. And I would just like to close by also asking that anything that we can do to give more funding to the library would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Butch Buoni. I live at 450 Horizons East, number 304, Boynton Beach 33435. And I really have only one item for the budget, and then I would like one follow-up statement afterwards. Having listened last year to some of the input concerning the irrigation along Federal for the bushes and trees, I know it's a relatively hot potato that gets shuffled between the state had money for the maintenance and the state had money for the improvement, but they didn't have any money for the irrigation. I would ask if somehow those bushes could be maintained with irrigation. Very simply. There are stretches of bushes that are just dead. And mainly between Wilbright and Ocean, which happens to be Sterling Village, which is where I reside. On a follow-up to something else, that's my only budget. If you're looking for some proactive involvement with your citizens and you want to take input, whether there's a stop sign that's down or there's a street light that's out, I was involved with a program in Georgia, where I'm from, that it's called Citizen Reporter. It's an application. If one of you would just take a look at it, Citizen Reporter. It's an app you put on your phone. It uses your GPS position. It takes your name and it goes directly, sorry, Colin, to DPW or those parties concerned, and it works remarkably well. And every one of your citizens can have input to a flooded street, a broken curb, a street light that's out. And I don't know if there is any cost to it. I wasn't involved in that side of it, but I do know I have it on my app and I'd be on my phone, and I'd be willing to show whoever would like to see it.
Called again?
Citizen Reporter. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
What part of Georgia you're from?
Well, I resided there for 20 years, right outside of Augusta.
I was born in Quitman, okay.
Okay.
I was hoping to save the best for last, but there's still one more person. I'm Susan Oyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way. Just to add on to what Butch was saying, I was actually had that on my list, Butch. It's a GIS program. I've actually given copies of the magazines that talk about that different program to Police Chief Katz before, a couple years ago. This has been a long-time GIS program, but it allows you can hook it up through the city website so people can just go in and report, or like you said, you could have a separate app. It's a great thing. There is a cost to it because as you just put in your budget and paid out your GIS bill, what was it, the last commission meeting? It is a decent chunk of money, but that's included, so it shouldn't cost anything extra. My first suggestion would be, as Butch said, to maintain the medians. I have been ranting about this for quite a while now. I understand there's elevator problems getting the water up to the medians over on Boynton Beach Boulevard by the Holiday Inn and Galaxy, and that's the street everybody walks in or comes into our city on. That is our namesake street, and we can't have anything alive and going. I just don't understand that, and I just don't see why we haven't solved this problem, and I guess now it's a moot point because we're redoing the streets, so we might as well wait. But you know, as Butch said, it's appalling, and I know my neighbors in our neighborhood, Commissioner Romulus, come to me and complain about the status of the medians and the status of the streets. I don't know if they're coming to you, but they definitely come to me. My second thing is what I bring to you guys constantly is we need more trees. The people in my neighborhood say it over and over and over. All of our major streets off 95, Seacrest, Congress, these streets need to have lots more shade trees. We are part of Tree City USA, and yet where the heck are the trees? So we need to be coming in. It would make them more walkable. It would, help mitigate the global warming problem. But, let's be on the forefront of this, and it doesn't cost that much. Because I will say I do a lot of fundraising to buy a lot of trees on this planet, and right now you can get them for $4 for $1, because that's what we're putting in Tanzania is $4 for $1 trees, and you can get them. Obviously they're small, but why can't we have the different businesses adopt a tree? Why can't I adopt a tree besides the ones that I adopt that go into the park named after my dad? Citizens could do this. It's just not I don't see why it's such a big problem, and let's just make this happen as we're making our city more beautiful. The third thing, and I'm sorry this is going to be quite a long thing, but not as long as some of the others, we need more lights on our major streets, and I mean like the pretty lights on the trees like we have up and down Ocean Avenue. I know that system is exceptionally expensive. My understanding was it was just like a little clicker you could drive by and change the colors, and it turns out it's not. Somebody said along the way you actually have to go and manually change those. But maybe there's some other way to have some kind of lighting up and down our major streets when you come off 95. Make it beautiful, make it nice. I mean, I guess I'm spoiled working in Boca, and they really go to town on this, as does Palm Beach Gardens. But, we're the third biggest city. We should be shining, loud and proud too, and it's not going to kill us. And have we looked at doing solar? Is there an affordable way to do solar so we're not paying electric bill, we're not having to run electrical current out to any of this, but let's make our streets off 95 beautiful. I would suggest maybe a couple weeks ago I gave you guys some paperwork on the white roof program, how they're trying to get people to go back to white roofs around the United States, the whole southeast part of the U.S. I'm sure Commissioner McCrae remembers when we were kids there was nothing but white rooftops, and I don't know about you, we didn't have AC at our house and we didn't need it in the summer times because it was a white roof and it reflected all the heat. We all did that basic science experiment in elementary school. We learned the temperature of the different colors. So maybe we should be looking at giving a grant to encourage houses to switch back to white rooftops. The paperwork I gave you guys a few weeks ago when you were sitting, I think, as the commission, if I'm remembering right, going back to white roofs is the equivalent of taking 300 million cars off the road for a 30-year time period. That is like one car per every person in this country. And that's what we had. There's a reason why Greece has all white houses. There's a reason why we always had white houses with white roofs, and this is a modern thing where people came in and painted house colors. It worked. You didn't need AC. It was great. Free Wi-Fi. I've talked about this before, and I know the mayor has indicated he wants this in the parks to get people out in the parks, but I look at it from the teacher perspective of my students aren't going out to the park. They're sitting in their house, and they're on the east side of 95. The school district was trying to run free Wi-Fi up and down the corridor against 95 on the east side and ran out of money and stopped. What can we do to kick that back into place? Delray offers their residents free Wi-Fi. Why are we not doing this inside the city limits, especially for our kids? And we're sitting here complaining about, Galaxy or Poinciana or this school or that school, and why aren't they better? And, how can we make them even better than they already are? Because some of them are really great schools. I worked at Forest Park and Galaxy, and they're fabulous schools. I mean, we had one kid not reading on grade level at Galaxy. That's how quietly great that school is. But how much better would they all be if they had access to free Wi-Fi? And I know you have to put blockers on. I mean, I work at the school board. Everything is blocked. But, that would at least give them a chance to do their homework and no more excuses. While I'm still on a rant about lights, my next thing is the mall looks like crap. And I complain all the time how there's not enough lights at the mall entrance. Why are all those beautiful palm trees and beautiful trees at all the main entrances, why are they not lit up? It's not that expensive to run electricity out to the little stand where the little tree is. Let's light up the mall so it doesn't look half dead at night. Make it look beautiful, posh, whatever words you want to use, but it would really dress up our mall, which we have a fabulous, beautiful mall. Let's make it look like it really is. I would say thank you for the cigarette container that you put on Ocean Avenue. It's not enough. I'm still sweeping out tons of cigarettes up and down Ocean Avenue every single Sunday morning. I don't know. I know education's the right thing, but our smokers are sloppy, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So let's give them a place to put their cigarette butts out up and down the street, not just in one location, but multiple locations. I had suggested before and got some traction with Wally on the solar tree charging stations. I know there's one out at the beach. I'm hoping that we run these out throughout the city. I don't remember which city is it Kuala Lumpur or one of the cities in Asia that has those big, huge solar power generating trees, and it's now become a huge tourist destination. Why can't we have, a forest of solar powered trees where people can sit and eat down, underneath them in a bench, but yet charge up their cell phones, charge up their computers, do work, and it's all solar and beautiful and is distinctive to our city. I had brought up a few years ago under the prior commission changing street names. I gave stacks of research to the prior commission and it got zero traction. I invite you to go back and look at Jeff Livergood's desk, because there's only 3 or 4 sets of research on this, but it's been proven to raise property values by up to 30% by having a nice street name instead of a number or a letter as a street name. It's been proven to reduce crime. It does all this stuff, And isn't that what we want, to make our neighborhoods greater and better? And if you look at the old areas here in the downtown, they actually had different names originally. Sitting on historic preservation, we have talked about bringing these old names back, and it kind of got stalled. So yes, I'll be bringing that back up, which means you'll be hearing about it again. But if we're redoing the downtown, why not really do it? And I'm not saying change the names, but just have the historic designation sign on showing what the original name was. It makes a difference. But in some of these neighborhoods, I mean, I've tried to bring it up in my neighborhood. I actually went house to house. There's 300 houses in our neighborhood, and I went to a very large amount of them, got 3 different sets of suggestions, went through every single street name on the maps for the county to make sure they hadn't been used in Boynton, went through all the stuff, put them in alphabetical order, east to west, north to south, and it just sits there on Jeff's desk. And this is a great way to make our city nicer, because the studies prove nice street names raise your property values and lower your crime levels. So I'm going to ask to bring that up again. I have gotten the basketball court lights turned back on in my neighborhood before. Is there someone who's going through who's actually making sure, especially with summer here, that we have the lights on all the basketball courts, all the neighborhood parks, not, big like outside the neighborhood parks, but the little pocket parks we kind of have around the city where the kids are actually out there every single night playing. I mean, I have kids come up to me all the time who are like, oh, you're the one who got our lights on? Thank you so much. We love you so much. When stuff goes on in the neighborhood, it tends to not happen at my house because they know I'm the one who got their lights back on, and they like that. It makes a difference. So maybe we should look at having somebody go out and check everything as we're hitting summer, 3 days and counting till, the terror starts in the neighborhoods. My next suggestion would be, we not only celebrate Conrad Piquel, who is the top stained glass artist in the world, which I'm sorry none of you came to the Conrad Piquel trip, because that was really outstanding. Once again, everybody loved it. We have one of the world's top muralists who lived here in Boynton Beach, Bernard Thomas. He donated his paintings to Galaxy and to Forest Park. The Historical Society just went through and paid to have all the paintings restored and brought back up to speed, because the kids put marker on them and stuff. They're gorgeous. He is the top muralist in our nation, or was. We should be celebrating him. And I don't want to take away from Conrad in any way, shape, or form. Maybe we should be doing 2 separate things, but I really wish the commission would get on the bandwagon on this and push our stars forward, like Rick Rhoden, who played for the New York Yankees and who's one of the top senior golfers in the world, is from Boynton Beach. His dad was the fire department chief for years. I mean, he's huge in the world of sports, and no one even knows his name. When everyone came to my classroom to speak, that was one of the questions the kid asked is, what famous people came from Boynton Beach, and no one knew. I was the one answering the question, and it shouldn't be just me knowing about Rick Rhoden and how famous he is. I would make a suggestion. Someone had talked about having something in each of the different districts. What about having a small water fountain type thing like they have on Clematis, where the kids can go and play and run through the water? Why don't we have one of those in each of the districts? Not huge to that level, but something that all the kids could go out and play in, and take the burn out of summer and make it some kind of nice little meeting place. Someone else, I believe it is Cindy, mentioned, why don't we have a park for adults? Well, why not add something like this to that? And it does not have to be huge like Clematis, but let's have something that's cool and unique and different, and give people a reason to go to the different districts to check out what's going on. I will say my last 2 things here, yay. I believe it was you, Commissioner McCrae, who said something about all of us need to be involved in telling people when there's trash. I regularly do. I've got to say, Jeff is a godsend, as I'm out early morning on Sundays running around cleaning up, and I'm taking pictures of everything and texting him and emailing him early on Sunday mornings, and he is on it on Sunday mornings, whether I'm taking pictures of mattresses or coconut falling all over the place, which is the latest problem. And whatever it is, we're doing it. But like you said, we all need to be doing it, not just 2 or 3 of us. And I would ask, so this is my one chastisement, please show up to all the city events. It's kind of sad that I'm just a regular citizen and I show up to more city events than everyone up there on the dais except the mayor. I mean, we have lots of cool, fun family stuff, and Commissioner Romulus, I realize everybody has a life, but can we each pick at least one thing a month to go to? We've got concerts, we've got movies, we've got all kinds of stuff, and no one showed up to Conrad Pickell again, and this is the 4th year in a row we've had it, and none of you were there. No one was there from the prior commission either. So this is a signature event. Let's start showing the love, and that's my only chastisement, because I think you're all fabulous normally. That's my only little problem. Thank you. Anything for me, or did I wear you out?
No, I have one question.
Okay.
When we put that cigarette container over by your building,
Yep.
did it decrease or did it increase?
It has decreased, but there's still a lot of cigarettes. It'd be nice if they're kind of spaced out along all the city blocks. I mean, if we're going to make them walkable, we got to...
Is this from Dewey Park, or is this the business?
Dewey Park.
Okay, so not
Yeah.
the businesses in your building.
No, we actually have one behind our building for our tenants who smoke. And I assume everyone else who walks by who sees it uses it too in the back. But there's one out in Dewey Park itself. It'd be nice if they were a couple on every block. Yeah, just smokers are sloppy, and they're not going to walk 2 more feet to throw their cigarette away. They just sit there and toss it on the ground, and then I'm cleaning it up every Sunday morning. Thank you.
Good evening, Mary Nagel, 2006 South Federal Highway, G305, Boynton Beach 33435. Thank you so much for allowing everyone input. I sort of canvassed our District 3 along the Intercoastal as part of BIG. And our needs are actually simpler than many that I heard this evening. It's all about maintaining what you've started or begun. The medians, everyone seems happy with the medians, at least in our part of town. The bushes are watered. They look beautiful. They're well maintained. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Keep it up. The beach, if we could get the seaweed cleaned up and, looking a little nicer, that would be terrific, because we have such a great beach, and it's one of our main attractions, at least where I live. In our part of the seniors, they come down and go to the beach a lot, every day. The senior center has some great programming, but some of the furnishings are looking a little sad. Perhaps if those could be punched up, that would be great. Harry Woodworth from Inca had sent an email to, I got a hold of it. He mentioned the park behind St. Mark's as needing, as I guess in really sad state of disrepair. So he was very unhappy about that. I haven't been recently, but I know it was such a nice feature that I hate to see that happen. Apparently some of the wood is rotting and it's not in great shape. And apparently in District 4, in the median, there's some problems still with the, not District 4, District 2, some problems with the irrigation and some bushes that are dead that need to be revived or replaced, more or less, so that would be great. Did I mention a skateboard park? I noticed so many cities have them. Probably, insurance thoughts come immediately to mind, but so many places have skateboard parks, and I think I may have just passed an area in Delray where they're installing one. It looks pretty cool. I know it's a big hit, with all the young people, so it's maybe something that we could consider for Boynton Beach. So, thank you.
Good evening, Debbie Lytle, 1008 Ocean Drive. I just moved, so. I just want to reiterate what everyone here said as far as parks. I want to thank Christine for coming out to the cemetery and helping. I support and encourage the volunteer coordinator position, or, you know, something along those lines. I know HR has a footprints and volunteer something on their website. I think it could be expanded, and there would be, you know, AARP and a lot of organizations use a lot of volunteers. I think the city could benefit from that. And Leisureville has white roofs, so we're doing well there as far as what she was talking about, energy things. I would like to focus on parks, leisure parks. As was brought up in the beginning, 75% of the budget's going to police and fire, I think. So a lot of the other services in the city do seem to fall behind and suffer. I would like to champion something for city employees. I find that they need or could use a little bit more training. There's some unprofessional habits that I've experienced in dealing with some departments in the city. And I think you could mentor and educate them a little more. I will compliment Jeff Livergood. He's a star hero employee for the city. And what else? Oh, the library. Education, kids. We love them. Thank you.
Alexandra Wilson. Sorry about that. I forgot some couple of things. You guys heard me mention these things throughout since October, but I just want to reiterate these things. Can we have some activity and event budget for banners? I visited Sarah Sims as well as Hester Center. They said they don't have any budget for the banners. Also, there are 4 roundabouts on Northwest 1st Street. So I would like to you guys put a budget for getting those lights implemented. Also at Carolyn Sims Center, they have this senior citizen program, but they don't have any funds for facilitators to teach the seniors. So I was hoping that the board can look at the budget to get some type of funds for the senior citizens facilitator. And those are my last remarks.
By banners.
Banners, you know how Park Vista, there's a lot of banners when you enter the school. That's saying like, hey, flat football is during this time, can you sign up? I went to Carolyn Sims and Isa Hester. They told me that they don't have any of those banners. So when they have an event or some type of activity where they need the community to come out to sign their children up, they don't have any funds to display those activities or events like they do in West Boynton.
Isa Hester, you know, they have a sign where they put things up there, and then, you know, instead of register, they got that. Let me piggyback on this facilitator for Carolyn Sims. What are they teaching out there? Because we have the senior center downtown, and my take is I don't understand why more people of my color is not in that senior center, because I'm down there every day, and they have programs. I'm like saying, why aren't they utilizing this? You know, I go down there just for lunch, but the few people that's there, you know, they're appreciative, and I'm just, what are they teaching at Carolyn Sims that it can't be done at the senior? Because that's where I'm trying to focus people to come.
I have the same issue. My grandma actually goes to that center that you're talking about, but like I said, I went to the community asking them the same question: why don't you guys come this way? And they told me that out of the city gets a bus to where the city are actually taking the senior citizens from District 2 to that location, or the city bring those programs to Carolyn Sims Center, because they're used to going to Carolyn Sims Centers to do these type of shuffleboards, chuckers, as well as Biz Wiz. This is what I'm getting from the senior citizens. So,
Lori, do we have something with May Volan to help transport the seniors?
Program in the city.
So
I don't know what their routes are off the top of my head, but there's.
So is that something we can discuss, getting a route from the Carolyn Sims Center to the senior center?
Yeah, I'll reach out. I'll have Wally call them.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds great.
What's your
And when
grandmother's
that,
name?
say it
You don't
again?
mind. If you don't, yeah, what's your
My grandma is Mary Smalls.
Oh, yeah, she don't mind. I grew up with Mary. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
It was classmates, okay? Yeah, much you don't mind.
Hello, Barbara Reedy again, 329 Southwest 13th Avenue. Alexandra talking about the Sim Center reminded me of something that the Sim Center is in need of. They need a trophy case. I don't know if y'all have been there, but they've got this wonderful collection of trophies as big as people are on the floor. So let's get them a trophy case. Thank you.
Got one more? Okay.
Cindy Falco Di Corrado, 316 Northwest 1st Avenue. I was just told at the last meeting that we were having that there are only 4 police officers for District 2 and only 4 police officers for different districts. And I'm going, how can that possibly be with all the crime that takes place? The police officer came up to me himself and said, I said, is that for real? He goes, we only have 4 for this district. So if there's an accident, if there's a robbery, if there's a murder, and all 4 of them go there, there's nobody for nothing else that happens within that community. And he was sharing with me that they did take down the what do you call them, the cameras, and that those police officers would probably be available to be boots in the field, because we need boots in the field in many different districts. He says the Walmart, I think the one on Federal he was referring to, takes a lot of their time, and so they're not able to go and be where people need them to be. And I thought, how can that be? And he said, this is a real problem. So I wanted to bring that to you. I don't know how to, I know that there's a lot of ROTC students. I know that they said the chief of police had told me he has a voluntary police group. Remember, I think you were there at the meeting as well. And then all these things, why aren't we utilizing this? How can this be that we only have 4 police officers?
I think there might have been a miscommunication there, because that numerically that's just not correct.
Excuse me, that wasn't a miscommunication. A sworn officer made the statement.
Told me.
I was heading the meeting, and this is what he said, and I called
I was
Lori,
blown away.
and she was there as well. So when an officer tell me that this is what is going on, and we are both listening and hearing the same thing,
it's crazy.
It's a problem. And my whole take is that we need more police officers in District 2, and I would champion that when we come to the budget. I'm just saying.
Right.
That's one of the things I would be jumping on.
I was just blown away, seriously. I just really was. And then I was told also, which also was a little surprise to me, that on the sober homes, police officers aren't allowed to know where they're at. They're not noted. And so the only way they know where there's a sober home is when they go out there being called because somebody OD'd or did a crime. But then I was at another meeting the other night with the CRA, and with all the sober homes we have, only 7 of them, 7 are regulated. I'm like, you're kidding me. There's only 7 listed with FAR. I think that was the name of the group. It blew my mind. I'm like, and you want to regulate the cannabis dispensary? You can't even regulate what we have going on in here right now. I was
Ma'am, those are
blown
state laws.
away.
Those are state laws. The legislature.
I understand that. But what I'm trying to say is something's wrong when the public and the police officers are not being privy to this, and we are sitting ducks at the hands of those who move into our communities and who, unfortunately, a lot of them, I live in a community, there was someone shooting heroin, like I said last time, behind my house. Another one OD'd the other week across the street from me. I mean, we should know these things. We live here. We pay money to this community, to our tax dollars, as a citizen, and I think that we should be protected, not the drug addict. And I'm all for recovery, but in the proper zoning places and not where there's families with children and people trying to live a life not worrying about who's going to rob them. I mean, it's just not right. Why the people aren't protected, but those who are choosing or chosen or have these homes, and there's over 50 of them in this community, we only have 7 of them that are regulated? That's insane. Seriously, there's a problem. Only 7. That gentleman from FAR stood up here himself and said, only 7.
I highly recommend you join me in my efforts to write to our state and federal legislators, because their laws supersede our attempts to try to rein in
Well,
these
I
types
will
of
join with you
activities.
for that cause.
Thank you.
That's a good one. I'd do that for you. Thank you.
I'd like to end, if there's anybody else, I'm having a town hall meeting on Monday, June 5th. It's from 6 to 8. It'll be at Fire Station 5.
I'd like to reemphasize the meeting that will take place on tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock at Carolyn Sims in regard to Sarah Sims Park.
Commissioner Romulus, any final words? Vice Mayor Katz? All right. Thank you very much, everyone.